14 in the Big Brother house. Most of the housemates are asleep, but Richard has been up for 2 hours counting the stickers from his Birmingham City annual. 9:36 a.m. The smell of toast and bacon wakes Rob up. He comes to the diary room.
Hello, Rob.
Hello, Big Brother.
Big Brother was wondering, what does worship mean to you?
That's a big question. I always remember Mike Jones doing a sermon one Sunday night, which has stayed with me, where he said, let's bring our worship to church. Because often you associate coming to church to worship, and yet really our whole lives should be worship. If we're Christians and we want to live our life for Christ, then our whole life should be worship. So yeah, let's bring our worship to church, to work, to school, to wherever we happen to be in the course of our week.
Does anything get in the way of you worshipping God?
Oh, loads of stuff. I don't worship God as I should quite often, and I suppose it's for all sorts of reasons. I always try to come before God each day and to offer him worship for who he is and for all that he's done, but quite often other things crowd in, and just general busyness of what you've got lined up for the day, or I don't know, just stuff gets in the way. You could call it sin, really. It's just me being me and God being God, and until I sort of pull myself together and recognise that unless I feed from God, then I can't give out what God has given me.
Do you have any practical or spiritual tips for Big Brother that could help others to overcome barriers to worship?
I know that if I don't give God the worship that I should, then I become dry, and I struggle in the work that I try and do for God in ministering to others, and I need to pull myself together and recognise that and remind myself just how great God is, and how small I am. And yet, small as I am, God loves me with an amazing love that I'll never comprehend. And when I start thinking about the greatness of God and all that he is, then that helps me come back to him in a worshipful way. And I try and pray the prayer every day, Lord, make me the person you want me to be today.
4'7". Maxine is in the diary room. Big Brother has supplied 2 large booster cushions.
Hello, Maxine.
Hello, Big Brother.
Big Brother was wondering, what does worship mean to you?
Well, I think that worship means to me that every second of my life is lived for Christ. No matter how menial a thing I'm doing, it means that Christ is part of what I'm doing, and I'm doing it for him.
Does anything get in the way of you worshipping God?
Well, I find that I live in quite a chaotic world, with all my family and friends and job and everything, and so I find that I just get quite easily distracted, and I quite often find myself being busy doing things for God and actually forgetting that God's about and involved in it, and also just distractions really with what's going on in my own personal life, I suppose, and that makes me take the focus off God and look at myself more. I guess I'm just selfish. That's my basic problem.
Do you have any practical or spiritual tips for Big Brother that could help others to overcome barriers to worship?
The thing I find find most helpful and appreciate most when I want to worship is coming to church, because I have the great privilege of being part of God's family in Aldridge, and people know me and I know a lot of people, and I know what a lot of people have been through in their lives, and so to see them in church worshipping God even when they may have gone through something really difficult, and to think God's been faithful to them and there's no reason why he wouldn't be faithful to me, and that inspires me to worship. And just having other people there, and so you feel less alone. And also I have a prayer triplet, and sometimes I guess I get so busy I stop praying, and so having my prayer triplet around encourages me to focus and pray, and to have other people praying for me too really spurs me on to worship, and also for their sake as well, to be there. And so I find it really bothers me when people say, I didn't get anything out of church, or I can't be bothered to go, because actually you may not know, but your being there is enough to encourage other people to worship themselves.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to Big Brother Maxine?
Are we doing nominations? Because I'd quite like Rob Cook to go, because he's asked me to that many Alpha courses.
12:34 p.m. Richard is in the diary room.
Hello, Richard.
Hello, Big Brother.
Big Brother would like to know, what does worship mean to you?
Worship is everything, and worship is probably, well, certainly one of the most awesome words, and it means about giving God back everything I am, telling him how great he is, and trying to include him in my life. It's about doing the stuff in church we do Sunday by Sunday or whenever, but it's also about taking that with us everywhere we go.
Richard, does anything get in the way of you worshipping God?
Yeah, life can sometimes get in the way of worshipping God, being too busy, having too many things on the agenda, trying to achieve too much, trying to strive to impress others. Just bad stuff within me which I don't want to admit to. Stuff like sin, bad thoughts. My imagination can get in the way of worshipping God. I'd rather dream about cars and sort of read my Bible and all that type of stuff. All that thing, loads of stuff. It's just stuff around you which crowds in and stops you focusing on the key thing in life, which is Jesus, and trying to do what he wants.
Do you have any practical or spiritual tips for Big Brother that could help others to overcome barriers to worship?
I suppose the thing which has really struck me, a very simple thing in my life, is that I'm loved by God and I'm his child. And I think it's really great for me to think about how loved and precious I am to God as his child, and actually there's nothing that can stop me worshipping God other than me myself. So it's about sort of going back to God, remembering I'm his child, and just telling him how grateful I am for that, and how sorry I am that sometimes I ignore him. So it's about sort of just having the right view of God. If you think of him as sort of something big and out there and not really interested, you can really go off track. But if you remember that you're loved and precious, and you've got that thought in your head from the moment you wake up, then I think it helps you get into the zone and keeps you going. And I think that's the key thing for me. Once I made that discovery that I was loved deeply by God and that I was his son, that sort of gave me the basics I needed to get going. And I think it's when we go back to the basics that, you know, we can start to remove any blocks and things like that which stop us from worshipping God.